How do we get AI to help us to sell, not to sell, but to help people buy? How do you know that you're using AI competently? They are not competent in using AI, but they think they are because they don't know any different. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Ronsley, and I'm at the very special Vayner offices in New York. If you can see the view behind me, it's absolutely stunning, because every time I get the opportunity to record an episode here at the Vayner studios in New York or the Vayner offices at Hudson Yards, I get the opportunity to do that, I do it. So today we're going to talk about how to amplify your revenue using AI. If you're a business, this is the must-see episode, primarily because most people are trying to amplify their revenue and their profits, but not really sure what steps to take. And in this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Come, let's learn. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to Amplify AI. All right. One of the things to talk about in this episode is how this is built on the previous 3 episodes. I recorded episode 100, which is how to prompt. I spoke about the prompter, the creator prompt framework, which I think is really valuable, and I think you should check it out, because if you're prompting or doing anything with AI, that is probably going to help you massively. Episode 101, I talk about the different AI models to use, why ChatGPT might not necessarily be the one that everyone thinks they should be using, but also why and which other ones to look at and how to use them. And then in episode 102, I talk about custom instructions, why you need them, how to use them, how to get AI to write exactly like you and think like you and to ideate like you. And if in that episode I talk about a different episode number, I'm sorry, that is actually episode 102, and we have episode 103, which is today. And it's all around how to amplify your revenue using AI. And like, I have all these notes at all times, obviously, and you can get these notes from the school community. So go to amplifyais.com and look up the top under resources, and you'll be able to see how to get access to the community, to the book. Definitely get the book. This is probably one of the best things I've done. I've got some crazy testimonials about the book of people who have read the book, and I'm so excited about it. It's so good. Go get it. Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, any of your favorite bookstores. And if they don't have it, ask them to stock it. All right. It is how to ethically, effectively, and efficiently use AI to grow business revenue, operations, audience, and brand. Check out the book. But today, one of the things that we talk about a lot in terms of business is, how do you know that you're using AI competently? I hear people talk about this all the time. Ronsley, I'm very competent in using AI. And that means a couple of things. Firstly, they are competent in using AI. Secondly, they are not competent in using AI, but they think they are because they don't know any different. Now, only creativity and our imagination is only as good as our experience. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So if I asked you, hey, can you imagine what a deserted island looks like? You can imagine what a deserted island looks like with a good certainty, because you can imagine what an island looks like. You can imagine what an island with no people looks like, and hence you can arrive at that destination because you have been to a beach or you've been to an island of some sort, and you can understand what that looks like, and then make an educated guess of what a deserted island looks like. But if I asked you to imagine the 12th moon of Jupiter, that would be extremely hard for you to imagine, because your experience doesn't allow you to do that. You have no idea what to imagine, whether there's a whole planet made of diamonds, or it's asteroids, or there's aliens, or what does the planet actually look like, or the 12th moon looks like of Jupiter. It's hard because the imagination is cramped by your lack of experience. I hope that makes sense. So one of the things that we do with AI is it all looks like a great magic trick, right? So do you know how to competently use AI to grow your revenue? Or can we find, by the end of this episode, a strategic use of AI that will allow you to grow revenue in your business? And I promise you we're going to do that, because what tends to happen is we use AI and we add AI enabled to all our things, and it doesn't really do the justice that we promise it's going to do, because we still are learning ourselves. And why that's important to have an expert on your side is that you tend to get a spike in attention, but then revenue doesn't change. And you want to fix that. So there are 3 main steps to help you fix that, and I'll tell you what they are. The first step is foundations. So there are 2 sub-steps to this. The first is identify your business goals, and the second is to interpret vital signs. So let me talk about each one of these, because I think this is where the rubber hits the road. So there are 3 steps. The first step is foundations, second is personalize, and the third is automate. And within each of these steps, there are 2 sub-steps, and this is how you amplify profit using artificial intelligence. And I'm going to get into the steps in a second, but AI is a big magic trick, and if you don't pay attention, revenue will keep decreasing, and we want to avoid that. What we want to do instead is focus on process. Process is everything, and the good processes that you have, we want to use AI and inject AI into those things. So that's the second piece of idea that I want to sow is, you have a good process, use the process to inject AI. If the process is already working, allow it to work for you, and then inject AI into a successful process. And then finally, focus on sales and revenue first. Get profit before you start optimizing other things like operations and revenue. There are a couple of secrets that I feel like I would love you to know before you go ahead and implement these 5 steps, which I'm going to talk about. These 3 steps, which I'm going to talk about. The secrets are the 5 ones. Now, this 5 ones concept is one I learned from Taki Moore, and I want to give him credit because this is his idea, or maybe he learned it from someone else, but I learned it from him. The 5 ones are, if you want to get sales, you got to focus on one thing at a time. And the 5 ones are, focus on one niche, and for that niche, focus on one product that will solve that niche's problem. Focus on one type of lead magnet. Focus on one type of conversion for those clients and for that product, and focus on that for 1 year. So 5 ones that will just streamline a lot of things. And if you're in a position where you have multiple products, focus on one of them first to grow revenue and profit before you go ahead and do other things. The next secret is, people hate being sold to, but people love buying. So how can we use AI to do that for us? How do we get AI to help us to sell, not to sell, but to help people buy? Okay, that's the second secret. The third one is, how can we use AI with empathy? Because our clients are in different parts, of their journey, and we want to be able to facilitate those different parts in a way that helps us empathize with where they're at in their journey. So at the end of this whole situation, at the end of this episode, what I'd love you to do is have a streamlined, personalized sales system that will help you grow your business. The second thing I would love you to have is an easier way to convert and have an audience that will buy from you. And the third thing I'd love you to have is build a content machine for trust, so that people want to buy from you as opposed to being sold to. So let's cover these steps. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing here is my actual book. So in the book, I want to show you this, that the chapters are, organized in a certain manner, and it shows you how to develop an ethical framework. But more importantly, the part 3 is all about how to grow revenue, brand, audience, and operations. And we're going to talk about growing revenue today. So there are 6 steps to growing revenue in a business. And actually, before we get into the 6 steps, I want you to understand the Amplify AI Pyramid. The Amplify AI Pyramid can be looked at from different angles. If you look at it from the front, you can see the 6 steps that are needed for you to use AI in a way that allows you to grow and be proactive and targeted and productive and aware and evolved, as opposed to being stagnant or blind or inefficient or general or reactive or extinct in the way that you create or add AI to your company. So now if you're looking at it from the front view, this is what you see. But if you look at it from the top view, you can see this pyramid. And the pyramid is based on this axis here. Now, the axis, customer focus and network growth. So you're talking about 2 people. So the 2 ways of looking at this is the reach and the vision. So vision is on the y-axis, and reach is on the x-axis. So customer focus is very focused on one customer or group of customers, while network focus is audience, leads, different partners. There's a huge network involved, while vision is the short-term goals and long-term vision. So depending on where you're at, you can either grow revenue, brand, operations, or audience. Today we're talking about growing revenue. So it's customer focused and short-term goal focused. For us to grow revenue, we have got to implement these 6 steps. We have to identify something, we have to interpret something, we have to streamline something, customize something, predict something, and then amplify something. And I can tell you the top here is amplifying profit. All right, let me show you what that looks like in the Amplify AI Grow Revenue Pyramid. So if you're growing revenue, these are the 6 steps for you to do. First, we've got to identify business goals. Once we identify business goals, we got to interpret what the business vital signs are. Once we know what the business vital signs are, we then need to streamline product sales. Then once we streamline product sales, we got to customize sales conversations. Once we do that, we predict revenue opportunities, and then we amplify profit. Let me break down what each of these mean. So the first thing to identify business goals are you find out what is it that you want to achieve. What are the goals that you want to hit within the next year, and how do you express that in a way that is measurable? How do you know that these are your business goals and that you have achieved them? And how can you align that with your products and your sales? So when I'm talking about business goals, I'm talking about revenue, I'm talking about ways to increase revenue, and what are those goals, okay? That's the first thing to figure out. The best way to do that is to go and find an episode that I did on growth tactics on how to set business goals on this podcast. To go back through the catalog and find that. I've actually done a whole episode on how to set business goals using AI and how to identify and set them. So go check that out. Once you do that, then you can start to interpret your business vital signs. What are the things that your business needs to measure for you to know whether you're getting close to your business goals? How do you know if you're close to the goal, far away from the goal, need to adjust the goal? Do you need more resources? Those metrics and those vital signs are really important to determine and interpret. Once you identify your business goals, you then go and interpret your vital signs. Once you do that, you can start to streamline your product sales, because now you know what you're measuring, you know what your goals are, and then you start to streamline your product sales. So what is the streamline and the best method for you to allow your product sales to be streamlined? Is there a simple way for a lead to become a prospect to become a client to become a fan or an advocate? And if you don't have that, streamline that. Make it one lead magnet to one conversion tool to one product. No, don't make it complicated. So that's streamlining. Once you streamline and you have your streamlined product sales, you can then start to customize your sales conversation. So if you have a method to grab leads and those leads then become prospects, what you have the ability to do is find out what those prospects care about, and when you're having the sales conversation with them, make it personal. Use AI to personalize that for them. So when you're having the sales conversation, it's more about them than about you and your product. Then once you have that, you can start to predict the new revenue opportunities that are around. Where are the places that these people exist, and how can I get to them quick? What's the low-hanging fruit? Where do I find the people in bulk rather than find them one at a time? That's the next one. That is predicting revenue opportunities. And then finally, you amplify profit, which is make sure that you're keeping enough profit to then go and start to amplify other things like brand and revenue and operations and other spaces. So what do you need to do to grow revenue is first, once you do that and you have amplified profit, then you start to grow brand and you have a short-term goal focus, and you grow brand. After you grow brand and you build trust, you start to grow audience. And then once you grow audience and you build impact, you start to grow operations. However, this doesn't mean that this is the only way to do it. You can start to grow revenue, have profit, and start to grow operations. And then you can start to grow brand and then start to grow audience. So depending on where you're at in your business journey, this is the tool. Go get the book. The book took 21 months to write. If it was not for AI, it would have taken 5 years to write. Not because I used AI to write it, But because I used AI to do all the other things around it, I did use it for research, I used it for compressing text in a way that allowed me to represent that text properly. It allowed me to take pieces from the podcast and put it into the book. It allowed me to do these really cool things that were not possible a couple of months ago. Get the book, grow your revenue, grow your profit, amplify that, and check out the previous episodes. If this is the first time you're listening to the show, thank you, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. If this is not your first time and you've been here, thank you for listening to the podcast. I'm a huge fan. Follow us on other platforms. Join the school community because I think that's very powerful. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.
Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI Geek. Until then, much love.